It's almost autumn, and you know what that means. It is Dark Academia season. So hike up your tartan skirts, get on your blazers, slip your glasses on, and let's talk about my ultimate guide to Dark Academia reading. Most of these books I have read and I recommend. There are a few that are on my TBR that I'm planning to read pretty much in the next few weeks, and I may be doing a reading vlog with that as well. So let me know if you want a reading vlog, but I'm planning to do quite a few reading vlogs over the kind of autumn wintry period, because you know who want to go outside when the weather is I live in England. It's miserable. I mean, it adds to the atmosphere. So I love, like, I've been decorating my flat and it is literally like walking into some sort of a warped fairy tale, and I'm currently adding some more like autumny decorations to it, and it just you just want to stay in. You just want to stay in with a good book, because I have many. Okay, so anyway, enough waffling. So this is kind of my guide to Dark Academia. Now, one thing I will say, I'm going to waffle some more, so, you know, skip ahead until you see me holding up a book. With Dark Academia, oh, and there's one over there. I might be walking out of shot because I can see another one over there that is on my TBR. And anyway, my definition for Dark Academia, I kind of need a bit of academia. So quite often when I see Dark Academia lists and Dark Academia videos, and don't get me wrong, everybody's got their own opinion. You can do what you want. But sometimes it's just that there's some sort of a dark theme in the book, and there's some vague reference to a university or a school or university location. And for it to be Dark Academia for me, I need something that has some form of study in it, like that you actually see the study. So a lot of these are heavy on that, are kind of heavy on the learning and the study theme. I am part Ravenclaw, part Slytherin, so there you go. So the first book, okay, we have to start. Yeah, she is the OG, she is the big mama, she is the book that started off the Dark Academia vibe, obsession with everybody and their uncle decorating their house and themselves in a Dark Academia fashion, and that is Donna Tartt's Secret History. Okay, first of all, this edition is gorgeous, but what really got me was it says 30th anniversary edition, and I was like, that can't be right. It can't be 30 years. And this book was first published in 1992, believe it or not. I did not read it back in 1992. I read it much later than that. But it has been a while, so actually this is on my to reread list. So side note, I'm going to be doing a video about all of my favorite books throughout the years, that kind of when people say what are your favorite books and what books I've given kind of like my favorite books of all time status to, rereading them, particularly if I haven't read them lately, to see if I still feel the same way. So this is going to be one of the books, but loved it when I read it. And I feel like the whole Dark Academia craze really only took off like in the early 2000s, even later than that. I feel like it took a while, but this one is very much the OG. A lot of the themes and imagery that we would consider real Dark Academia are taken from this book. Okay, and films like The Dead Poets Society, Mona Lisa, Smile, those kind of real, there is an emphasis on learning, and there is usually a discussion on human nature, and you know, they're not happy cheery kind of things. Okay, and this one, if you don't know what The Secret History is about, I do recommend it. I think it's amazing. But it's about a group of students. They kind of are quite eccentric. They are studying Greek mythology and there's a lot of discussion on kind of the Greek tales and the Greek mythology and that in here, which I really like, but just know that going in. And they kind of are led by a very eccentric professor, and it's kind of like living outside of the normal bounds of society. However, this goes real sideways real quick when a bunny, one of their fellow students, is okay, and that's not a spoiler, it's literally right at the beginning of the book and in every synopsis you read. And it really kind of muses on the nature of friendship, the, you know, good versus evil in a way, but like in a human sense. Obviously there's nothing fantastical about this, about kind of that emphasis on learning, that emphasis on knowledge, very much in your head, in your mind, friendship, you know, all of that. Like I said, I think the best comparison in film form, I would say, is Dead Poets Society, which is a movie that I adore as well. So it is fantastic. I am planning to reread it, but just know that this, if you want the OG Dark Academia book and you have not read The Secret History yet, this is, I mean, that's kind of where I would start, right? Okay, I would start there. Then the other one that I think these two books get touted about together quite often, and I'm going to do the same thing. This is We Are Villains by M.L. Rio. Now, again, isn't this a gorgeous, gorgeous copy of this? Look at that. It's stunning. So this particular book, I will say, if you don't want to go in as heavy as Donna Tartt, because I adore Donna Tartt's writing. Actually, probably one of my all-time favorite books is also another Donna Tartt book called The Goldfinch. And while that one isn't set at university, it is actually about a boy who he's in an explosion in the Met Museum in New York, and he inadvertently takes a painting, and it kind of follows him through his life in the art world and things to do with this painting. And it's a book that I absolutely adored. Actually won the Pulitzer Prize, and it richly deserved. But that's kind of the level of writing you're going into. It's not sort of beginner level of writing. I think if you want something slightly easier to read, but with that same vibe as The Secret History, I would absolutely recommend We Are Villains, because this one is again about this kind of group of students, university students, quite eccentric, trying to live outside the norms. You find out in the beginning of this book, right, again, this is not a spoiler, that one of this group has just come, or he's about to come out of jail, or was just coming out of jail for having another member of this group when they were at school. And it kind of starts with the police detective who actually prosecuted him at the time, kind of saying, you know what, I think there's more to the story. Tell me what really happened. And you kind of go back and you find out what happened with this group. But they are studying, so while they're in The Secret History, it's all Greek and philosophy. This is Shakespeare. So which I loved. So they put on plays, and their obsession in this book is Shakespeare. I adore this. I think, oh, this is a masterpiece. I cannot wait for M.L. Rio's new book. Graveyard Shift was really, really good as well, but this is just fantastic. I think if you want a lighter version with really those OG Dark Academia vibes, I recommend this book. Then another one, and I've got the second one because I always hold up the first one and I love the cover of the second one. This is Hellbent, but this is the second book in the Ninth House duology by Leigh Bardugo. I still want another book in this series. Leigh, are you gonna you're gonna write another one? But this one is set at is it Yale? I was gonna say Harvard, but I feel like it's Yale. It's either Yale or Harvard, one of those American universities. And it's all about the secret societies. There's also very much a magic and a fantasy element in this. So our main character, Alex Stern, she is kind of down on her luck. She can't afford university, but she is given this job to kind of almost look after and babysit one of these sorority houses, one of these secret society houses within the campus. And they each have their own specialities, things like necromancy, sort of, it's all a bit dark and forbidden. So you get all of those elements. And then you get this almost mystery and what happened to her kind of mentor in this house, because he goes missing and we're like, what happened to him? And we kind of like go through the story there. I love, again, this is another series that's going to be in my video to reread because I read this a number of years ago, but I remember absolutely loving it. I personally love Alex Stern as a protagonist. She's not likable. she just isn't. But I love that about her. I love that she's tough. I love that she's not afraid to be unlikable. I don't like simpering main characters, particularly female main characters, and she's definitely not. And I love her relationship with Donington, who is kind of the her mentor that goes missing. I love that element. I love the supernatural element in this. And I just think it has that perfect, I think secret society is another thing that is very much, I just think, a core staple of Dark Academia for me. And both The Secret History and We Are Villains, although there's also that kind of feel to secret society in it, and I think this is another fabulous example. And this is if you want a bit of fantasy in with your Dark Academia. Now, I'm going to recommend one that I've just read and I absolutely loved. This is H.G. Parry's The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door. Now, I will admit, the first few, it took me to page 50 to really kind of get into it. But oh my goodness, once I hit that, I was like, I could not put this book down. So this book is about Clover, our main character. This is set in the 1920s, first of all, which I love. I love anything set in the 1920s, okay? Give it to me. Pause. remind me, I'm gonna mention another series, but that's it in the 20s that I love. But this here is set in the 20s, and it's kind of like an alternate version of history. So there was the war, as there was, and Clover's brother Matthew went off to the war to fight in the war, and at Eames he was in an attack, but it was a fairy attack. So the premise of this world is that there is magic, there's familial lines that have magic and practice magic, but there's also the fairy realm, and you used to be able to draw magic from the fairy realm using a fairy door, but after it kind of went sideways during the war and a bunch of people were and infected with fairy magic, the government, the special department for fae magical studies, said no, we're going to shut these fairy doors. So they all got shut down. Now Clover, her brother, comes back from the war. He was actually in this attack. He was one of the few survivors. There were only 3 of them, but he's now infected, and every time that there's some sort of a kind of an event, like say Samhain, for example, it's particularly powerful when the veil between the worlds is thin. The fairy kind of tries to possess him and get in him, so they've got to like tie him down. And this like infection is so cool. It's like it's turning him into wood. There's a lot of tree imagery, which I really like. Now, the scholar part of it comes in where Clover, she's desperate to help her brother. So she goes and she studies rudimentary magic, even though her family is not from a magical line at all. And then she's that good that she gets a scholarship to go to Cranford, which is this kind of magic school. But it's like between, I think, Oxford and Cambridge. And it's a bit like the platform where you can't see it unless you're allowed in, unless you're magic. It's kind of shrouded from the muggles. So she goes to this and she intensively studies this, and she meets 3 other characters, and again they form this kind of band of misfits, and they try to basically unlock the secret of the fairy doors and the fairy magic and understand what really happened. And it is so good. It is so good. It isn't, I'd say it's more medium paced. It isn't super fast paced, but my goodness, I enjoy the vibe. This is perfect autumn vibes. Halloween is in this. I just no words. I did not think I was going to love this as much as I did. This is a easy 5-star read. Absolutely adore it. So if you want something again with a slightly different Dark Academia, and there's a lot of the study and a lot of the working out the magic and working out the fairy doors, I recommend. Then one of the staples that I recommend all the time, but I have to, is Nocticadia by Carrie Lake. This one I would recommend as a good Dark Academia because it fits my criteria of actual study in this. So you may expect me to recommend Gothicana. I am not going to do that because there's really not much academia in Gothicana. It is more dark romance, gothic dark romance, whereas this, they are on this isolated island and there's this specific disease that they are studying at this very exclusive, reclusive, only by invitation, you're lucky if you get their university. And our main character gets into this university, and her reason for going to it is that her mother passed away from this disease, but no one will believe her. Everyone thought her mother took her own life. So it's very good. The romance is incredible. The whole atmosphere of it is perfect for autumn and August and just October and all of the vibes. You know, it's got all of the spooky and like some of the imagery with this disease and the worms. It can be a bit like you've got to have a strong stomach, but there's also this very heavy emphasis on the academics and on the learning and on the experimentation on the people to find out what's going on with the pathogen and how to fix it. So I think this really, and again, there's secret societies involved in this. So good. So good. Then another newer read is this. This is The Wayward Sisters by Kate Hodgins. Now, I read this as a witchy read, and it kind of is, but it's kind of not. So I thought this was, I mean, it is and it isn't. But I would say the reason it falls under Dark Academia for me, and it's in a slightly different way, is that, first of all, it's set, I think it's 1769 in Scotland. Anything's in Scotland back when, instantly autumn vibes, and it really does, it gives you that. But it's about our main character. She wants to be an astronomer. She's kind of studying to be an astronomer. Her mother was an astronomer. She's been studying at the astronomy center school in in London, but she, being a woman, is just not taken seriously, and she thinks she's discovered a certain phenomenon while watching the heavens, but of course no one wants to take her seriously because she's just a silly girl. What does she know? What does she know? So she gets an invitation to go out to Scotland to kind of spend some time teaching this Lord of the Manor, who is actually a Shakespeare scholar. So his passion is Macbeth, and there's a lot of talk about Macbeth in here. So again, if you like We Are Villains, there's loads of Macbeth references, but he's also interested in astronomy, and he wants her to teach him about astronomy. And it's the first time that she's actually being taken seriously as an academic and an astronomer. And then things go from there. There are witches. Think Macbeth, that's all I'm saying. But it's very, this is a short read, standalone. It was a lot of fun. I love the astronomy kind of aspect of it, and very academic. So I think it definitely hits the dark academia vibes. Then this is actually the second book. This is The Madness Underneath by Maureen Johnson. This is Shades of London series. I read this very long ago. I just recently reread the second book, loved it, have the third book on deck to read. And it's a series about a girl who comes to London. This is modern day. She comes to London to study at this kind of exclusive English school. So this is YA. Think Eton College, right? If you're British, you'll know what I'm referring to. So very posh, very exclusive, and it is quite funny, some of the cultural clash between American, I think she's from Louisiana, and the high class British society. But she comes to the school, and there is a series of unalivings in the vein of Jack the Ripper in the first book. Okay, I'm not going to say what the second book is about, and she proceeds to kind of investigate this, but it's also very much set in the library, in the school, dusty, foggy London, the pubs, the atmosphere. It's perfect for the season. And I will say that there is a supernatural element to this. So I really loved it. It's a bit different. It's really interesting. It's urban fantasy, but it's also very much in that vein of dark academia. She spends a lot of time in the library, which I love, and you do sort of see again the study and the investigation and what's behind these occurrences that are happening in London. I really recommend it. It's very good. Then I'm going to talk about this briefly, but I will caveat this with I don't like the series, but I know a lot of people do. Okay. And I recently tried to get back into this, and this is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. Now, by all accounts, I should like it, but it irritates me. But I know there are a lot of people that love it, and it does hit those dark academia themes. So this is about the Scholomance, I think it's called, and it is the school where there's just no teachers, no order, no structure. It's a free-for-all. You basically have to survive, okay? It's like the Hunger Games, but in a school. So that's kind of the whole premise of the book, and our main character is just trying to survive and make it through and figure out what's going on, and there's things attacking her all the time. It's very fantastical. It's different, it's interesting, but I think I did not get on with the way it was written, so the writing style really grated on my nerves. But I would say if you can access it from the library, give it a go, see what you think, because there are people that really like it. It's just, and again, it hits that dark academia because it's all set in this really crazy school, and again, they're learning all these spells and potions and things like that, but it wasn't my favorite. It's not my favorite, but you might love it. Then stay with me. So this is a bit of left of field, but I will explain why I say that this is a dark academia. So this is They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. I have just recently read this. This is so good. Okay, this is so good. So I read this because I love The Favourites by Lane Fargo earlier this year. Still one of my favourite contemporary romances ever. And I was like, I have to read this. This is a thriller. But it is a thriller, absolutely. But I think it also really hits those dark academia themes. So this is about our, you kind of have a dual timeline. So you have a then and now timeline. So you have our two main characters, Carly and Scarlett. Now, the main premise of this book is Scarlett is a professor and she's trying to make tenure. She's also trying to get a research grant and a internship in London. And she's so throughout this book she's sort of writing her paper, and you see you see a lot of that kind of academic side of her as well. But Scarlett has a bit of a a bit of a hobby. Think the Mind F series, okay? She gets rid of bad men. She's basically spent many years seeking justice for women that have been assaulted, particularly women on the campus and not believed. And she believes them, and she takes matters into her own hands. But now this is raising suspicion. Police are involved. Things are coming out, and, you know, this is not a good time for her. But just again, this is perfect for the season. Halloween is in here as well. There is a Halloween party. Just the vibes, the whole feel of it, the campus feel. It's good. I have to recommend it in this. Then another one that I really love that's kind of in a similar vein is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. This is by Ashley Winstead. I am an Ashley Winstead stan, okay? I've read everything Ashley Winstead's read and loved every single one of them. So Ashley Winstead writes thrillers, but this one is very dark academia in the sense that it is a bunch of people that get together at their kind of university reunion. And again, dual timeline. And then you kind of figure out what happened back in the past. Because again, one of their group passed away, and another member of their group was people suspect that person, but nothing was ever really proved, and everybody has their theories and everybody has their thoughts. And there is another person in this group at the reunion that is hell-bent on exposing what really happened back then at the university. Very, very good. If you want your dark academia with a thriller aspect, I recommend Ashley Winstead anyway. She's fantastic. Then an OG from my channel. So if you've been here for a long time, you may remember this one. This is Alexis Henderson, another one of my all-time favorite authors. This is an Academy for Liars. This is perfect dark academia because our main character, she gets just an invite. Okay, her life has kind of gone to hell. She's at her engagement party and she opens the door, I think, to the bathroom or wherever, and she finds her fiance with her best friend and they're going at it. Yeah. Don't think she should marry him. So she kind of takes off. She's in a really bad state of mind and she gets a mysterious phone call saying, "Congratulations, you've been accepted to the academy." And she's like, "Whoa, what? I didn't apply to anything. What?" But she's like, "Well, my life has gone to hell. I may as well go and see what this is about." And this is all about mind manipulation and coercion and getting people to bend to your will, and the ethics of that and the training of that. And then it goes in some really interesting directions. Say there's portals involved. I mean, it is fantastic, and it is dark. These characters are very morally grey, and I know a lot of people don't like the main characters. They're not meant to be likable, but I loved it. I mean, Alexis Henderson is, for me, just right up there as one of my all-time favorite authors, and this book is one of the best dark academia books that I've ever read, and I'm going to reread this soon because I actually now just really want to reread it. Then from an old OG to a new one, this is Immortal Consequences by, I forget who this is by, Ivy Marie. I've literally just read this, okay? But I thought it was fantastic. So this is such an interesting premise. This is also a YA book. Also, how gorgeous is that? This is the Waterstones edition. This is about a school in the afterlife. So purgatory, if you will. These people are all sort of around 18, 19, who very sadly have passed away. But instead of seeing the light and going on, you know, to wherever you think you're going, they don't. They end up here at the school. And this school, I forget what the school's name is, actually. I'm trying to Blackwood. At Blackwood Academy. And Blackwood Academy trains these people to go into the ether and get souls to move on. So helps them see the light and move on. And every 10 years, they have this disseminal, kind of like a contest type of scenario where they compete to become a kind of an upper member of this society. Now, it has quite immortal consequences, right? Because if you don't make it, And if you spend too much time at the school, your memories of your life start to fade, and you as a person start to fade, and then you get exiled into the ether. No one wants that. Okay. But there's also this kind of shadow society that seems to be working against Blackwood, that they warn the people there about. So this is fascinating, first of all, because I just think the whole concept is really interesting. I think it is a YA, but it is very dark. Okay. Just the whole subject matter of these, because you also then start to find out how they got there, what happened in their lives, you know, these really complicated relationships. Again, there's a lot of characters in here that are really unlikable. This kind of contest thing, I love anything with a trial and a contest and a game. Oh my gosh, it just sings to my heart. And like learning about the ether and figuring out how to, which like spells and how to, you know, they're in class and they're doing illusions and things like that. It is so good. I think if you like anything with magic schools, that kind of thing, Immortal Cosmos. I will also shout out Neverthorn, but I went on about Neverthorn in my just previous video, and I don't think anybody wants to hear me go on again. I will, however, mention Arcana Academy really quickly. This one, I think, fits the Dark Academia bill because although it's a romantasy, I feel like there is so much emphasis on the tarot magic in this. So in this world, you have tarot cards, a bit like in One Dark Window, that you can wield magic with, and they are very strictly regulated by the Crown, and you can only ink these cards in the Arcana Academy, in the confines of this academy. And our main character here, she is actually illegally inking cards. She gets thrown in jail, but then she kind of gets a second a second chance when the headmaster is also the prince of the Arcana Academy, comes to her and says, I'll get you out of jail if you pose to be my betrothed, because that'll keep you out of jail, but also you've got to come to Arcana Academy and help me ink some special cards. And he has a bigger plot. And what I loved about this, again, you had trials, you had things they had to go through. They talked a lot about the different tarot cards and the different meanings and the different magics, and I thought it really kind of gave you that Dark Academia theme. Also the whole gothic nature of this academy and the magic is so autumn. It's so autumn. Yes. And then another one that is an OG, before I move on to my TBR, is Immortal Dark by Tigerstgirma. I hope I'm saying that right. I really want the second book in this. I think it's only coming out next year, which makes me really sad. But this is about a academy where you have vampires and you have different families, and they have a specific vampire attached to them in this kind of university. They're kind of kept in this university setting. And our main character, Kaden, in this, her sister has gone missing, and she thinks their family's vampire companion, Sisenyo, has something to do with the disappearance of her sister. So she's always resisted going. She's never wanted to go to this academy, but she decides, F it, I want to find out what happened to my sister. I know this guy, he has something to do with it. I am going to this academy. So she goes. And it is proper enemies. They hate each other in this. I love the tension. There is a lot of really beautiful, there is like an African folklore take on vampirism and the vampires in this. And he talks about his tribe, and I just think that is really, really cool. I also think there's a lot of scenes where they're in the university and they're studying and they're doing their classes, and you're actually seeing the academia part of it as well. And again, I thought that was really, really interesting, like the magic and that, and then of course the underlying mystery and all of that delicious tension. I love it. Now, one that I've just started, okay, this was on my TBR last month and I didn't get to it. I am so glad I finally started reading it. This is Exorcism of Fairies by J.L. Vamper. So this, a little bit like The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door, this one is so it is about, how do I describe this? Okay, so we start off, we're actually in Dublin, first of all, which is great because again, Ireland, all of the misty, foggy folklore vibes, so perfect for the season. Also in 90s Dublin, which I love. And our main character, we kind of meet her while she's dragging along a body, okay? And you find out that she's kind of autopsied this body on the sly. She's not actually a mortician. She wants to be, but she also sells cadavers to a society, Okay, so a secret society on this university campus. And we meet her as she's trying to get this body into her car. She goes off to the society. She knocks on the door. She's like, got a body for you. I want to get paid. And the person that opens the door has got a plague mask on, okay? You know, one of those proper plague masks that you see like in the Venice Carnival. Which you're like, huh? And it turns out that there is some sort of a plague and a disease happening, and people are dropping left, right, and center. And these people are trying to figure out what's going on. She's kind of trying to figure it out. And there's also the scene, this is all like within the first, I mean, I'm literally only on page 20, so I'm not giving much away here, but she seems to be doing her own sort of investigations, and she says to the guy as she's handing off the cadaver, there was a plant growing out of the body, which, you know, is not normal. So it seems like they're trying to investigate this plague or this disease that's spreading, and it seems to have to do with spores and nature, and I'm guessing some sort of fairy magic. Like literally just that opening has me, I mean, I'm 20 pages in and I'm chomping at the minute I finish this video, I'll be reading this. It's incredible. Then another book that I've just picked up. I could not resist. This is Hemlock and Silver. This is T. Kingfisher's latest book. And I did manage to get this absolutely stunning. And I believe T. Kingfisher actually did this art themselves. Look at that. Isn't that stunning? And then isn't that stunning? So I am putting it in the Dark Academia section because I think it's giving me the Dark Academia vibes. So it basically says arsenic, whitethorn, apple, and wolfsbane. So healer Anya regularly drinks poisons, not to die though, but to save, and seeking curses for those everyone else has given up on. So she's trying to save people from curses and using her potions and her magic to do that, because her daughter, I believe, is dying. So in typical T. Kingfisher style, she's aided by a guard and a narcissistic cat with a passion for scientific method. Anya rushes to treat Snow, but nothing seems to work. Nothing it is until she finds a secret world hidden inside a magic mirror. This dark realm may hold the key to what is making Snow sick, or it may be the thing that ends her. So, you know, again, the potions, the magic, seeking cures, very academic, a scientific cat. And I just think this sounds amazing. So that's being read very soon. Then one that is going to be actually a reread for me that I haven't read in ages is V.E. Schwab's Vicious. This is Vicious. Gosh, what's the second one? There is a second book. I forget what the second book is. But this one is really, really interesting. So again, this is on my used to love them in the past. Do I still love them? I love V.E. Schwab. But this is about Eli and Victor. And when they were at university, they wanted to basically become extraordinaries. And what this means is they wanted to give themselves powers. And they did this in very interesting ways, kind of making sure their hearts stopped for a while and then bringing themselves back because they believed this is how they were going to gain powers. Now, they may have been successful. And you have this kind of almost interesting take on superheroes and good and bad. But again, that kind of study and that obsession, part of that kind of dark obsession that they hold for this and for these experiments and trying to make themselves extraordinary. It was fantastic, and I want to read this or reread this and read the second one as well. Then one that's been on my list for ages is this. This is Curious Tides by Pascal Lascelles. That sounds lovely. So this one is Elgin College, and it's Elgin College for lunar magic. So apparently you've got these like caves, ocean caves under the school, and these kids kind of go there as dares and go swimming, and then I think a really bad accident happens and kids drown, and our main character is trying to figure out what is happening. I believe there's a secret society involved. There's lunar so it's a magic school, so there's again a supernatural. There's lunar magic involved, you know, the study of the magic. I think it sounds phenomenal. I think it's perfect for the season, and I'm really hoping it's good. Then this series. So this is Stalking Jack the Ripper. This is book 1 by Kerry Maniscalco. I adore Kingdom of the Wicked, one of my favorite fantasy series ever. And this one, first of all, I did manage to get all of them in these stunning covers. You might be able to see, you probably can't see Capturing the Devil that is back there. This is about, this isn't necessarily set at university, but it has a very academic vibe and then a thriller vibe to it as well. Now, I read this first book again many years ago. I need to reread it and continue with the series. So our main character here, this is Victorian, I think. So I believe it's like Victorian era. Victorian young lady. Audrey, she is supposed to be the perfect Victorian lady. She's supposed to be sweet and quiet and get married and do lots of embroidery and drink tea and lace up that corset and I don't know, Victorians faint a lot. But she doesn't want to do that. She does not. She wants to study forensics and forensic science. And of course that's a no-no. Okay, no girl studies that. So she manages to, I think her uncle or like a family friend, I can't remember exactly, but he teaches at the school and he's like involved in like pathology and forensics. And he kind of sneaks her in. She's kind of disguised as a boy and she goes and she sits in on these classes. And she meets a guy there, another fellow student, and they strike up a love-hate relationship. And then in the background, each one has a mystery. Now, I'm going to say these are not supernatural, despite the fact that some of them, like one is Stalking Dracula, they're not supernatural. They are real-world explanations. But this one is called Stalking Jack the Ripper because obviously that's what's happening at the time. And the Ripper episodes are happening. And she's trying to figure out what's going on. And she's trying to investigate. So it's like a bit like Sherlock Holmes meets Dark Academia, meets Victorian Lady. It's very good. I remember really loving this, and I really hope I love it as much on the reread and love the rest of the series of these books. Then my last two, if you're still here, give me a graduation cap emoji. These are the last two that I'm going to talk about. So first of all, this one is Strange Nature, and this is by Mary Watson. That says, assault twisted to murder on a girl who can't look away. So this one is set at a university, and again we've got so there's a secret society involved in this, and our main character, she apparently witnessed a brutal attack as a child, and she's kind of been, this is kind of caused a trauma response, I guess, and she's sort of been waiting for the next attack. And 10 years later, she is going to the local university and she's spying on this kind of group that is described as being very intoxicating, very ethereal, very cool, kind of the weird, quirky, cool, intoxicating kids. So, you know, a bit like Saltburn, a bit like The Secret History. And they have like a secret society and she wants to get in. And when one of them gets offed, I think she gets in. But then they're trying to work out what is actually happening at this university campus. And it just sounds fantastic, and it's giving me every Dark Academia vibe I can possibly imagine. And then the last one on my TBR is this one here. This is The Four, and this is by Ellie Keel. Now, I mean, the cover alone sort of screams Dark Academia. I did say I had to talk about a series, one that I have forgotten the book for, but Discovery of Witches, that one's perfect. The first book specifically is it at Oxford or Cambridge, where she's studying, she's a witch, she is in the university library, she gets a book that talks about the creation of vampires, and then she has to team up with the sexy, growly, grumpy vampire to figure out where this book is, and there's lots of people going after them. Perfect Dark Academia vibes if you like vampires. But moving back onto this one, this is The Four. So this one, it says, so it's 1999, first of all, which is very cool. So it says, to succeed in exclusive boarding school for the wealthy and privileged, scholarship student Rose, Maria Lloyd, and Sammy just need to fit in. But the four are bound by a dark secret. Keeping it could save one of them or destroy them all. So a bit vague, but it sounded like it could be very much like In My Dreams I Hold a Knife or We Were Villains. That kind of thriller aspect, but also at this kind of university, secret societies, that kind of thing. I think this was an ARC. Yeah, it says April 2024, but I love the cover of this. So really looking forward to reading that. And then the last one, I'm going to jump out of shot here. You get to look at my background. Hi, I'm back. Vita Nostra. So this is actually the last one, I swear. This is by Marina and Sergei Dianchenko? Am I saying that right? I don't know. And this has been on my TBR forever, okay? This is described as super trippy, super weird, but super good. Okay, so it is about a girl who's on holiday with her parents, and she's given, I think, some gold coins, and then she's told she can trade these in to go to this exclusive university school where, and it says like the lessons don't make sense, it's everything's weird and freaky, all the concepts are strange, don't really know what they're I mean, look at the cover, it's brilliant. Don't really know what they're doing there. And I think a bit like Nocticadia, there is a student professor kind of relationship in this, but everything I've heard about this, it's trippy, it's weird, it's perfect Dark Academia, and I think I'm gonna love it. That's it. Like I said, leave me a graduation cap. Let me know if you've read any of these, if you're interested in any of these specifically, and happy autumn, happy Dark Academia. I'll be coming back with some more autumn related videos very soon. Speak to you soon. Bye.